Hello, everybody. Good afternoon, and welcome back to Fit Nutrition Podcasts here in the 8 Weeks Is All It Takes group. Thank you for joining me. I am Tanya Gustafson, your nutritionist and fitness coach with Fit Nutrition, and I'm super pumped and excited to be back here with you all today. So I just wanted to, first of all, say thank you so much to all of you who reached out to me and were checking in on me. You might have noticed I was like a little quiet there for a while. I had a little surgery. We're healing nicely. And, that just kind of brings around the topic of you never know. You really never know what's going to happen in life. When something will happen, when life going to happen to you. And just the fact that being healthy and being prepared in your physical body and your mental body really gives you that edge for recovery, really gives you that edge for not falling into the traps of just kind of feeling sorry for yourself and going down those rabbit holes and all of that kinds of things that can happen when life doesn't go the way that we planned. So I'm just very, very super thankful for that. So today's topic is about feeling the food guilt, that holiday food guilt. And I know that I've talked to a lot of new people around this topic, and actually funny story, funny, not so funny story. When I was in the hospital to have this little procedure done, I had 2 procedures done. The second one here in Kelowna, and I was, getting ready. They're very nice. They talk to you. They want to make you relax and everything, right? And as I'm waiting to go into surgery, or in there on the surgery table, and I'm just waiting for them to get, all organized, I was chatting with the nurse and the anesthesiologist while they're waiting for the surgeon to come in. And funny enough, they were looking at my chart and saying, "Oh, you do fitness, and you tell me, what do you do?" And so, I said, "I'm a nutritionist. Yes, I'm a fitness coach. I help people achieve their health and wellness goals, and do all that kind of stuff without dieting." And they're like, "Oh, that's really cool. So tell me a bit about that." So talked a little bit about that, and the one nurse, she goes, "Oh, I probably shouldn't even be talking to you about with all the treats and the shortbread and stuff out there right now." And she just went like this. And I said, no, that's okay. Because as we know here in the 8 Weeks Is All It Takes group, is that I just, got to educate her. I'm so blessed. I said, so shortbread is literally just a carb and a fat together, And so then the anesthesiologist pipes up and he goes, "Right, you just need to add some protein to that." And I said, "Great, yes, you've got it exactly." And so he proceeded to say, "Well, you can have some nuts with that or something." And I grinned a little bit, because we know here that although nuts do have protein, they are primarily a fat because of the ratio, right? They're so much higher in fat than they are in protein. And so although they do have protein, we do consider them a fat when we're putting our PFCs together, right? So any of you that are new here listening to this, there you go, a little tip for you. But so I said, well, so we started talking about that. And I said, well, fat, the peanut butter or the nuts or whatever, we're really considering them a fat because of the ratio. And he's like, "Oh, is that so?" So we started talking a little bit back and forth about the different macros. Proteins, fats, and carbs are your macronutrients, right? Your vitamins, minerals, and things like that are your micronutrients. So macro means bigger. So we started talking about the PFCs, our macronutrients, and a little bit about what we teach here in the 8 Weeks group. And both he and the nurse were saying, we really doctors really need to start teaching their patients more about this. So you can, because I was saying, reversing disease and regaining your health goals and bringing weight down and blood pressure and cholesterol and all those kinds of things that, of course, are significant in our world, right? I mean, the weight is great, but when we can influence our internal health as well too, then we know that we're really doing a good thing, because skinny doesn't necessarily equal healthy, or thin doesn't equal healthy, or strong doesn't equal healthy, right? Just because you haven't had a cold in a year does not mean you're healthy. So we have to think about those things as well too. So anyway, that is what we talked about really briefly there before I went under the anesthetic. And I just thought that was interesting in sharing, because the guilt is everywhere. People are thinking about it and thinking about, well, I'm just going to go through the holidays. I'm not going to worry about it. And then that week between Christmas and New Year's, where we find ourselves right now, there's a lot of people thinking back and saying, "Oh, I really shouldn't have eaten that," or "should have had water instead of the wine," or "I should have just had a cup of coffee instead of that eggnog latte cocktail thing. I should have just stayed home and not gone to that party, and I never would have eaten," fill in the blank. And that's just no way to live our lives, right? Because these occasions mean so much. They happen year after year after year. And if you're in that place where this guilt is also happening to you year after year after year, which then causes you to kind of ruminate and think about it and all these, I should have, I shouldn't have done this. You're shoulding all over yourself, right? Which is something we should never be doing. It's just toxic. And then it changes that mindset as well, too. It causes us to be negative. It causes us to start thinking, well, I'm never going to have health. I'm never going to reach my weight goals. I'm never going to fill in the blank, right? Because it's been that recurring cycle year after year after year. And that is like the cycle of yo-yo dieting, right? And that's not something that we ever want to be in. And so, but a lot of people are. And so to break that cycle, you have to do something a little bit different. And so when we talk about our PFCs here, your proteins, fats, and carbs, putting those 3 macronutrients together every time we're eating frequently throughout the days in the right portions, in the right frequencies throughout the day, then you're going to turn your body's metabolism on. You're going to turn it back on. So if you're one of those people right now, or you know someone who's feeling the guilt after the holidays, thinking I should have done this, I shouldn't have done that, all that kind of stuff. And now they are looking for something and they're desperate. You know, like they're upset that they've done something. They're feeling the guilt. They're afraid. They're feeling fear because they've been here before. And it was hard to get the weight off before, and now they're not looking forward to it. They're afraid they're not going to be able to get the weight off. And then they're desperate because it's such a struggle and they don't want it to stay on so long. So those 3 things, the guilt, the fear, and the desperation, are what cause people to then do things that they wouldn't normally think are healthful or that are effective, right? So maybe depriving yourself. So removing some meals. You're like, well, I've eaten so much over the holidays, I don't need to eat now for a couple of days. There are people who do that. They just stop eating for a few days. And that is not healthy either. All of these extremes on our body causes extreme on the inside and wreaks havoc with our metabolism and the way our systems function and operate. You know, our bodies work best on schedules and on systems and on regularity. You know, we talk about a lot of regularity a lot when it comes to health, you know, with your elimination systems, with the peeing and pooping, like that's the thing we talk about here, because when you put stuff in, stuff's got to come out, right? And if it's not, if things aren't regular, if you're irregular, if you're constipated, there's a lot of elimination issues, then that's a sign on the inside as well too. And the weight gain and the inability to lose weight is a sign of health and hormones. So when we can use our macros, our PFCs, every 3, to put, you know, to restore hormonal balance and to stabilize our blood sugar, we can then naturally release stored fat, which naturally releases the weight. It also brings down your cholesterol, your blood pressure, your A1C, reverses disease because you're lowering the inflammation. You're making yourself less susceptible to all of those lifestyle diseases, you know, such as the hypertension and the prediabetes and the diabetes, even the cancer, the Alzheimer's, stroke, all of those kinds of things. We're really turning that back and dialing it back, which is not to say that you're never going to have any health issues. I'm never going to say that. But if you do, you will be in a much better position to deal with it, and you will recover that much faster. So taking myself, for example, I mean, this wasn't an internal thing, it was an external thing. But still, there's a lot of trauma here on the face. There was a lot of swelling. There was a lot of pain and pressure and things like that. But when I went into my surgeon just 2 weeks past having 2 surgeries, he walked in the room and he looked at me and he said, oh my goodness, you're healing so well, so much better than I thought. And I was very encouraged, right? Because I try really hard. I did indulge over Christmas. I had a few treats, but then I got right back on plan. And instead of thinking, oh my gosh, I ate too much, I need to pull out some meals, or how many extra calories did I eat over here? I need to pull that out over here. Oh no, I need to skip lunch now. I'm just going to work right through lunch because, you know, we went out for dinner that night and I just ate, you know, I had the dessert. So I didn't do that. What I did was I consciously made sure that I stayed on plan up until those occasions when I was going to my husband's Christmas party, when we were having Christmas dinner here, you know, when I was having a treat with a friend, those kinds of things, I knew when they were coming, and then I would stay on plan all the way up to them, and then then continuing on afterwards, right? So it's a small blip in my radar. And because of that, I was able to keep my internal inflammation at a minimum. We always have inflammation in our bodies. Our cells are always replicating, dying, growing, making new ones. So there always is some inflammation happening in there. And we have stress that causes inflammation. We have pollution in the air that causes inflammation. We have some toxins in our food. Sometimes we're not even aware of them. It causes inflammation. Sometimes we're on medications that cause inflammation. So there's a whole gamut of things that we sometimes we're not even aware of, that just happen, that causes inflammation. And so when we can then minimize all of that ourselves, minimize anything else that we can minimize on the inside, we are putting our body in a better place to heal and recover and to maintain health, right? To be in that healthy place and to thrive through that and to heal faster. So just wanted to encourage everybody with that. So if you are feeling that holiday guilt, I want you to stop it right now. Just stop it. Go watch the Bob Newhart Stop It thing. I'm showing my age here. Anyway, we want you to stop that. And we want you to start thinking about what you can do. Instead of all the things you should have done, could have done, would have done, you can't do anything about that. It's in the past. What you can do moving forward is to think about, how can I change my habits? Because we have to change something, right? Because if nothing changes, nothing changes. So we don't want anyone to be back in this position next year thinking, with the guilt, the fear, with the desperation, trying to decide which diet should I try. Oh, that thing I tried a couple of years ago, that worked okay. It was really hard. It was really uncomfortable, but it worked. I want to also say, what is your definition of work? If it's not something that that is based in science, that makes sense to you, if it's not something that you can do for life, and it's not something that you would let your child do, then I would really reconsider if that really works. If that's really something that's going to work for you in your life coming up. Because if you can't do it for life, if you can't maintain that, then there's really no point in starting it, because you're just setting yourself up for failure. Because what do you do then? If you can get through it for 2 or 3 months, okay, then what happens after the 2 or 3 months, right? You get where I'm going? It's going to assuage your guilt and lower the severity of your desperation for a time, but it's not going to solve the real deeper issue about what you need to do every day consistently, so that when you have Christmas coming, or a birthday, or Valentine's Day, or a date night dinner with your spouse, or your kids come into town and they want to take you out for lunch. What about all these things? How do we do those things? We do them here, right? We do them here in the 8 Weeks Is All It Takes group. And if you've noticed up there in the banner in the featured section at the top of the group, we're having a jump into January. So jump into January is starting January 23rd. So if you're here in the group, you're welcome to join. We're going to be posting things here in the group. So getting yourself started, getting ready to get started. There's very few people that really, really want to get started anything on January 1st. A lot of resolutions are made January 1st, a lot of promises, a lot of thoughts, a lot of plans, but not a lot of execution has ever happened and then remained consistent on January 1st. So in order to avoid failure, in order to, we don't want to set anyone up to fail, I want you to think about what your goals are coming up for 2023 for your health, for your wellness, for your weight, for your fitness, maybe for your relationships, maybe for your finances, maybe for with your kids, maybe for your faith, whatever it is, you have goals, right? Coming up for 2023, and write those down. And just, keep them there so but that doesn't mean that you have to bang on start on January 1st. And if January 5th, something goes sideways and you're a failure, it's not the way it's going to happen. So we're going to get you going into January. Start thinking about what you want to work on. And here in this group, we're going to specifically be focusing on mind, body, and lifestyle. So all of those 3 things, because we need all those 3 things, right? We need to be able to do those kinds of things in order to live a healthy and fulfilling lifestyle without feeling that we're deprived, without feeling that we can't join in with other people, with our families, or without feeling that we can participate in these occasions when they come up, because that's not where anybody wants to be. That's not where I want any of you to be. And we're going to, just get rid of that altogether. And we're going to thrive through 2023 together, so that when this time of year rolls around next year, all of you here in this group that are currently here, and the new people that are going to be joining in the next couple of weeks, nobody is going to be making a weight loss resolution for New Year's. You might have other goals. You might have other, self-improvement things. That's great. We all should be working on all of that, right? And maybe different things that you want for your job or for your business or for your family or a trip or something like that. Those are great. But I expect that nobody here in this group, no one who's going to participate with us will be in that place next year of guilt, fear, and desperation. Okay. So if that's something that you are looking for, if you're like, I'm down for that, I'm sick of this guilt, I'm not being afraid of my food anymore, and I am certainly tired of being desperate and not participating in life, or participating, just showing up, putting a smile on my face, and then feeling so much stress on the inside and stress and guilt every time when I go home, that's not a way to live. So I would invite you to join us in the jump into January, starting January 3rd. That is a Monday. And I'll be posting weekly videos in here. We'll be posting some tips in here. Keep watching Fit Nutrition Podcast live if you can, every Wednesday at 1 p.m. PST time here. And sometimes if I do have to travel next week, so I may have to record one, but most of the time they will be live. And so you're welcome to join in, and definitely ask your questions in the comments, and then I will go back and respond to that. I'm not quite tech savvy enough to do it while we're live here, but I can see things coming in on Facebook. So if you do have questions, do put them down in the chat and I will answer them for you. So jump into January, starting January 23rd. It's a Monday, and I do encourage you, invite people to join you, because it's so much more fun when we can link arms with our friends and we can all get healthy and make it happen together. So thanks for joining me here on the Fit Nutrition Podcast. And I look forward to seeing you, state your health goals and take the steps to achieve them. And then next year, not making a New Year's weight loss resolution, but looking forward to all the other things that you can work towards instead. So thanks so much for joining me. Happy Wednesday. Have a wonderful Wednesday, and I will see you again next week here on Fit Nutrition Podcast live in the 8 Weeks Is All It Takes group. Thank you. See you later.